Yeah, I feel very bitter at this moment in time. I've said how proud I've been of my team and my squad all season, but come the day, that's not good enough. There's no excuses for it. You find out about people's true character when they've got to produce and got to do something, and obviously too many of mine couldn't do it today. Maybe all year they've been sucking on to one or two who can and who are strong enough. But it's my job to put it right next year.
You went for experience in goal, and I think Brian Parkin was unquestionably your best player out there today.
Yeah, he was, yeah. I think Lee Jones, there's not been enough competition for him. I've got to put that situation right. He lost a lot of form, lost a lot of belief. And after the last game, I decided to change him. But Brian was exceptional today, and he needed to be. That's what hurts me.
We've given it everything. We've just played lately. Maybe it's the pressure's got to the players. There's been no quality. You know, the players just look afraid of the situation, and you know, if you can't handle that, then you're going to struggle, you know, to do anything as a pro. You know, it's hard to win things. You don't get many chances during your career, and when the chance is there, you've got to seize it with both hands.
It was as if it was too much trouble for him, and I could have picked 11 of my supporters to give me more than that, really. Today, that's the truth. I could have picked 4 off my bench. The staff would have given us more than that.
You've got to look at yourself and, as a player, and think, well, can I handle those situations? And some of the lads have got to go home and spend, you know, the next 2 months and just thinking, well, you know, have a look at how we handled it or didn't handle it in the last 10 games. But we've got to come back next season, start again, rebuild. You know, Ollie's just said he's going to keep everybody and learn for it. Preston did the same last year, came back and won the championship. We've got to look to do that and learn from the experience of failing. It's not a nice feeling. I can assure you that you see our dressing room now, there's a few tears in there. It's difficult, really difficult to put a finger on why. But
one final word for the supporters. They turned out in force today. It just wasn't to be for them, unfortunately.
I'd like to apologise to them. I felt our fans deserve better than that, and that's what I've told my players. That is not even a Bristol Rovers side out there. There was no commitment, there was no battle, but sometimes that happens under pressure and you find out about your people. But all I can say, I'm so devastated because even at my age I'd have put up a better fight than that.
Okay, yeah.
Diabolical.
Phil, an absolutely unbelievable last 10 games, an unbelievable collapse not to even make the playoffs.
It was extraordinary. I mean, when you think about it as it happens, 8 points from the last 30 would have done them. You're talking, you know, 2 wins, 2 draws. 6 of those matches, I think, were at home. I mean, the form they've shown in those last 10 games is relegation form. I mean, it's good for them that they were at the top of the table, but extraordinary, really. And even yesterday, it was difficult to see what they were going to do in the game. They just looked so bereft of ideas. I mean, they started with 4-4-2, they went to 3-5-2, they changed personnel, they had Ellington up front, they then played Cureton up front, and it was as if they were searching for this magical formula that just frankly wasn't there and didn't look like it was ever going to be there. It was extraordinary, very sad to see. I mean, I honestly fancied Rovers to be good enough to go up this year, and I'm astonished that they've blown up in the way they have.
How do you explain it, Richard, in the last game of a season where you know a win and you're there in the playoffs? How do you explain not performing to your potential?
How could Ian Holloway explain it? You can't explain it. You can't explain no commitment. The manager there saying no commitment. I could have had the staff play better than my team did. I mean, people can understand a team playing badly any time, but usually you can see a fight and desire, and almost always in a Bristol Rovers team you can see that. And I'm as shocked as Phil is. I mean, I couldn't believe. I thought Rovers had what it took to go up automatically at one stage this season. They had strikers that were scoring goals. They had a strong back three in Tilson, Thompson and Foster. My own view is that maybe Ian's changed things around a bit much. If you've got to be critical of him as a manager, I'm sure he'll look at himself and he'll take responsibility for certain things. Phil says that in the course of the game yesterday they changed things. My view was that you sometimes lose sight of what your best team is. Now, Thompson, Tilson, Foster to me have been a rock for Rovers, the solid base on which they've built. Andy Thompson, I understand, started in midfield yesterday. Cureton and Roberts up front, tried and trusted, both can score goals. Ellington's been tried. I think Nathan Ellington is possibly the best, brightest player in Bristol, at either club. But of late, with the pressure on, he's been hitting the target. He's not been hitting the target when earlier in the season you'd have backed him to break the net, and that's been one of the things that's gone wrong. I also think, by the way, that Ian was wrong not to get another goalkeeper, and he's talked about lack of competition there. Had to bring Brian Parkin in. I think he needed to sign a goalkeeper a bit earlier.
Not just a goalkeeper, criticism from some quarters that on transfer deadline day didn't bring the right kind of player in throughout the team.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at the areas where Rovers were strong. They had creative players, they had defensive players, and yet the people he brought in were Andreas and the centre-back and Stewart and Wall Easton, sort of midfield, nice footballers, but not the people to put their foot in, whereas they'd lost to Pritchard, they'd lost to Bryant, they'd lost to Mauger, and as you say, they had the lad from Chelsea as a reserve goalkeeper, who by all accounts would have stayed if Rovers were going to guarantee him a game. Ian Holloway maybe rightly said, well, Vialli's not going to pick my team, but he went back to Chelsea and therefore no competition for the goalkeeper. So they didn't strengthen the areas they needed to, and at the end they were having to shuffle people into unfamiliar positions because they didn't have the right people to come in.
I just hope they stick with Ian now because, you know, as Brian Parkin rightly said there, Preston missed out nearly last season. I was talking to David Moyes yesterday at Bristol City, and he was saying the difference between them this season is the last month of the season they've come strong, whereas last season they fell at the final hurdle. Bristol Rovers have got the basis of something there. Ian Holloway, they're not going to get a man with more heart in the club than him, and I still think that's vitally important, whoever's in charge. You've got to keep Ian Holloway at the helm and build on what's happened this season.